Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Proctor. I'm the president of the Women's Initiative Network here at SAS. From small, powerful grassroots gatherings to large-scale conferences and events, International Women's Day is being celebrated all over the globe. It is a great day for inspiration and change, and SAS is honored to be a part of the celebration. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be here, and thank you to those of you who are joining us online for taking the time out of your schedule to connect in. We are pleased to be able to live stream today's program as today's event got filled up quite quickly. We have so much to celebrate here at SAS, starting with the fact that 10 years ago, back in 2009, SAS leadership so boldly recognized the fact that we simply do not have, or did not have, enough female talent leading into leadership positions within the company. And this is specifically pervasive within R&D, but they recognized it and they decided to change that. And Jen Mann and her team pulled together targeted focus groups all across this campus. And I just want to take a moment to have any of you that participated in that discussion to raise your hand so we can recognize you. I know that there were quite a bit of you. Thank you very much because you spoke. And SAS leadership listened. And I'm honored to say that out of those discussions, which happened in 2009, in early 2010, the Women's Initiative Network was brought into fruition. And while I'm taking a moment to recognize people, I would like to recognize a few individuals. First and foremost, Michelle Reeves. Michelle Reeves was our light. She is the one that pulled together and organized and collaborated with individuals from all across the triangle, all across the United States. She collaborated and pulled together best practices, and it turned it into a winning structure for which the Women's Initiative Network is found upon. It's a structure that's been going for 9 years now, and it's been repeatable. We have 6 Women's Initiative Networks across the globe, and that's only going to grow. So Michelle, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for what you've done for the women of SAS. Without you, we simply wouldn't be here today. And I also want to take a moment to recognize Diana Levy. Diana took over the helm as president as Michelle was transitioning out of her role more into an executive sponsor role. She did a fantastic job steering the ship for 2 years, and it was in a time of great growth and change for us. It was the time when we were creating WIN groups globally, and you continued Michelle's legacy far after her leadership. And I like to say that Michelle was kind of the stone that was thrown in the quiet water, and me and you and the rest of the WIN team are the ripple that keeps on going. So thank you both so much for your leadership. And finally, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize our executive sponsors. First, Jen Mann has been with us from the very beginning. I mean, WIN is kind of her baby, and she's the one that spearheaded the effort that recognized the fact that we needed to do something. So thank you, Jen, for all that you've done for us. Secondly, Karen Allen, who is also our executive sponsor, but she's a little bit more than just an executive sponsor. She rolls up her sleeves and gets in and participates in our planning sessions. And I tell you, every time you come to a planning session, we get these amazing ideas, such as this one, and just, it blows my mind every time. Karen, without you and your participation, we simply would not be the group that we are today. And then thirdly, I'd like to recognize Jen Chase. And Jen's not here at the moment that I can tell, but I do want to recognize the fact that she's come on board in the last 6 months, stepping into the leadership or the executive sponsor role, as we've had a few that have rolled off. And it's because of her that today's event is even able to happen. So she hadn't been with us for very long, and her impact was immediate. So I want to thank Jen Chase for her efforts as well. And now getting on to the main attraction and why you're all here. I am super excited to be able to bring to you Olympia LePoint. I had the opportunity to meet Olympia back in August when we both spoke at an event together, and she was the keynote and completely had me captivated from the moment she walked on stage to the moment that she left. And I went up and introduced myself to her afterwards, and it was just like an instant connection. You know, when you meet somebody, you feel like you can't hold them in. You got to figure out a way to let other people know about it too. That's the way I felt. So I came back, and as we were brainstorming what to do for today's event, she immediately popped into mind. And through the help of our executive sponsors, we were able to get her here. So our theme for the year is Reach for the Stars. And I honestly could not think of a better keynote speaker to have than Olympia LePoint. Olympia has been hailed the new Einstein by her fans, of which, if you cannot tell, I am one of them. I may be the president of her fan club at this point. She is an award-winning rocket scientist. She's an author. She's a TEDx speaker. She has appeared in countless numbers of magazines and news publications. And she was deemed the modern-day hidden figure by People's Magazine. What a great honor. I could go on, seriously, for like an hour of all the many accolades and why I think she should be here. But I do want to give you the opportunity to meet her. And I want to say that she is brilliant, she is bold, and she is beautiful, but even more beautiful on the outside is what's on the inside. And I think you're going to see that too. So just watch this video, and as the video ends, Olympia will be joining us on stage. Thank you.
No matter what type of circumstances that you have been raised in or have experienced, you always have the ability to find a way out and create success for yourself. And I had to do that in my own life.
I am Olympia LePoint, and it is my honor to be with you here today. I'm excited. I am extremely excited. If you haven't noticed, I am wearing sequins because I believe this is a party. We are each here to unlock a part of our future, a part of our thinking that will allow us to move forward in such a powerful way that our lives from this day will be forever changed to greatness. To greatness. It's no turning back from this moment on. So my question is, are you ready? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. Are you ready? Yes. All right. First things first, I'd like you to stand up, turn to the partner next to you, both people, and tell them congratulations for being here on Women's Day. All right, let's have a seat. This is going to be fun. Okay. Now, obviously, you saw that beautiful, I really thank Impact Theory for creating that beautiful video that you shared earlier and you saw. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what it took to reformat, reprogram, change the way in which I was thinking. Because the whole goal is the information that you're going to take home with you today will not only impact and change your life, but it will give you the opportunity to reprogram your brain. Figure out how to apply your thoughts in a powerful way. And it will give you insight on how to tackle any and every challenge that you will face. All right. I am a rocket scientist. I do other things now, but that's actually a term that's always going to be a part of my history. And it took so much effort to get there. I wouldn't do you justice if I didn't show you rocket pictures. If we're shooting for the stars, I gotta show you some pictures that will help you understand the magnitude of power, the magnitude of intelligence, the magnitude of faith. I worked on the Space Shuttle main engine, a part of the Space Shuttle program. And in all, I helped launch 28 missions to space through the NASA program. And so I'm very thankful for that. And this is an image of it. It is a retired vehicle, retired in 2011. Specifically, it was composed of a lot. It had the solid rocket boosters, which is the large white rockets on the side of the image that you see here. It had the external tank, which is like the orange tank on the back that carried the liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. And there was also the vehicle. It was the space shuttle. And my job was specifically of the main engines. The main engines were responsible for launching this gigantic vehicle with the solid rocket boosters and with the external tank and with the airplane itself that would go into space. Our job and my job was to look at this and figure out how to launch this rocket. And this rocket was launched and propelled into higher atmosphere from liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. And that's actually the blue plume that you see in the photograph above. Now I know you, SAS Institute, will appreciate this. I use mathematics, specifically statistics, to calculate the probability of catastrophic explosions before and within flight. We use programs like SAS. We use other mathematical programs, and we used statistical analysis, ANOVA, regression, Bayesian approach, Monte Carlo analysis to predict which component would more than likely explode. And if we could catch it in advance, we could backtrack. We could backtrack and figure out what could potentially cause that future that we did not want, and we could rewind time so it would not happen. Huh. I know, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Let me say that again. We saw the future before it happened. Then we went back to figure out what could potentially cause what we didn't want. And we changed the future based on that thinking. You saw the movie Hidden Figures? Yes. It was amazing. I watched that too, and I was crying. And when I saw the story of Katherine Johnson and everything that she went through, I was looking at my life on stage, and I was thinking to myself, oh my God, I went through the same thing. I'm so thankful that there is Katherine Johnson's story out there to unveil what challenges I went through as a woman of color launching rockets in a predominantly male environment. This is my seat. It's now thankfully, it is an exhibit at the California Science Museum. I know. Just think how I felt. I went to the Science Museum. Oh my God, that's my seat. That's my seat. So I went to the Science Center and I saw my seat and I was just like, oh, they actually really think what I did was important. So here was my seat. I used the mathematics and science, and we were in this dark room for 12 hours at a time, watching these numbers, statistical run charts, go past the screen over and over, because we knew that those numbers were going to launch us to success. Now, what is most important is that after leaving rocket science, I recognized something. The way that we would think to launch vehicles into outer space, and the way that I had to reprogram my brain, as well as how I had to help my family members, which is a whole other subject, is by understanding the power we have in our thoughts. Now, let me break this down to you, and I want you to always take this with you for the rest of your life. Your thoughts, how you think about a situation, is going to make or break your success because it will define what you will do next. The power of your thought is going to launch your life to success so you reach your star. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? I just want you to close your eyes for a second. When you have your eyes closed, I want you to ask yourself, where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Okay. Can you imagine it? Is it going back to school? Is it having children? Is it becoming the manager in an area in which you've always wished? Is it even going into a new area and providing your skills in a completely new way so you find a new innovative approach? Is it starting your own business? Is it networking and connecting with people? What do you see for yourself? Everyone has a different image. Now open your eyes. Sometimes what gets us through a situation is figuring out what we see in the future and holding on to that no matter what we encounter. It is the process of faith. Let me break this down for you. By you being able to envision the future before it happens, you are an inventor. That's what every single inventor does. They see something before it exists, and they feel passion to create it so it eventually does exist, so they can touch it, feel it, see it. But if they don't hold on to that vision, the invention doesn't get made. That's an application of faith in science. You see, we each have this mission for our own lives that's going to launch our own life to our own star. And for me, I had a vision like that. I was 6 years old. May I take you back with me when I was 6 years old? Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. I was 6 years old, and I went to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. And it was amazing. It was a technical environment. We saw jet engines. I remember the white plane that I saw I remember pointing out to the white plane that I was on the school bus on, and I remember asking my teacher, what type of engine is that? And I remember we saw rocket engines there, and there was this room that we went to. It was this dark room with huge TV screens. They weren't flat at the time. This was back in 1981, so I may be dating myself. I'll just tell you right now, I'm 42. This is 1981. I think I was like 6 years old. And this room that we went to, it was dark, and it had all these computers, and I remember just looking around in this room, being like amazed. Wow. I was a child. I saw these lights, and it was just amazing. And I saw then this picture on the wall, and it were of 4 men. One had a pocket protector, one had glasses, one was looking down at the page. And for a moment, I told myself, I'm going to be just like those men. I'm going to launch rockets like they did. Then that was the end of the field trip. I remember going home, but my life was not rocket science in any way, shape, or form. I went back to our home in South Central Los Angeles in the middle of poverty. We didn't have enough money to eat at times. And at times, we used to mentally trick ourselves to think that we were eating food by chomping on ice. Yeah. There was a crack house next door to us, and our mother had us sleep in the bed in a certain direction, so if the bullets came through the wall, it would first hit the metal that she put up next to the side of the wall that she got from the junkyard. So if it did happen to pierce through that metal, it wasn't going to hit us in the head. I went through physical, emotional, sexual abuse when I was younger. Can you imagine how my brain was tormented? And I obviously wasn't handling things well. And I realized that when people are experiencing really tough situations emotionally, the first place it shows up is in science and in math education. I started failing algebra, failing geometry, failing algebra, failing chemistry. I look back and I'm really happy because I know that although I went through that, that was going to give me the power to move forward. My life was actually on a roller coaster of going completely down. There was something that changed. There was and I talk about this in my TED Talk, Reprogramming Your Brain to Overcome Fear. There was a moment in time where our calculus teacher said, anyone who wants to show up for the winter break, I'll give them free tutoring. And this was like, from a teacher, I thought to myself, this is amazing. Free tutoring? We don't have money for tutoring, and our teacher's going to actually give it to us? So I caught the bus 2 hours each way just to sit with him for 1 hour, and that's when my epiphany came. In that moment, what I learned had nothing to do with math, but had everything to do with what I had to learn about myself and my own thoughts. It's this. What I learned about myself was I going to allow fear to control the rest of my life? Or was I going to fulfill the promise that I made to myself watching that photo where I knew that I was going to be a rocket scientist? What was I going to do? Was I going to allow all the failing, the algebra, the geometry, the calculus, the emotional abuse, all this, was I going to let that define me? Or was I going to find and carve a way out for myself and use that as my benefit? Well, I remember learning that I had a math fear, number one. I call it mathophobia. And I learned actually how to do calculus. I still took the AP test and failed it afterwards. But it was an amazing thing. I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't scared to fail. And I share my specific story with you because you're in the same mode. So you have a decision to make in front of you. Are you going to be scared? Or are you going to fulfill the promise that you made to yourself and you made to this world? You see, each one of us has a specific gift. But when we do not use it, when we are scared to use it, when we think that it's easier for us not to move forward, we fail ourselves. Now, here's my quick test for you. If you close your eyes for a second, what stops you from moving forward in your next 5-year plan? Remember whatever it is that you saw for yourself in 5 years? That, my friend, is your fear. Whatever you think is going to stop you, that is your job to overcome. A part of being alive is to recognize the fear that we have, and we become alive and free when we choose to move past it. So the question is, how do you do that? Well, you can open your eyes now. It would be helpful to actually open your eyes. Okay, so get this. My book here, my second book, Answers Unleashed, this actually talks about how your thoughts mathematically contain power. You're like, what? Your thoughts literally contain power. And I'm going to break this down to you the quickest and most simplest way I can possibly do it so you walk away with some powerful knowledge. You know Einstein's equation, E equals mc squared? Well, that also applies to your brain energy. Energy is energy, whether it is in the stars where you're shooting to Mars or shooting to some far-off planet, or whether it is in how your neurons fire in your brain. Energy is energy, from the largest molecule from a planet to a solar system to the smallest molecule of an atom. And when you take that with your brain, your neurons have energy. In this theory, I created a theory. It's the tree brain theory of relativity. It takes Einstein's theory, which is E equals mc squared, gravitational waves, which I'm going to describe to you in a couple of seconds, chaos theory math, and neuroplasticity, which is the ability to take your thoughts and redirect them so you really rewire your brain from the inside out, like I had to do. And it deals with knowing this. Your thought is a function. Now, those of you who are mathematicians will really appreciate this. Your function is your thought. It acts upon whatever it is that you have experienced, and it takes it in two different directions. Either it takes it so you grow with it, or it takes it so it eats away at you. So for me, I had failing situations, backwards and forwards. I had to realize that the chaotic situation that I was in was really a gift. It was energy. It was my job to use my thoughts in a way so I could reshape my challenges to actually not eat away at me thinking, oh, what about me? Or what if I'm the only woman in a certain situation and no one listens to me? No. It was for me to realize I brought a strength to a situation. Your thought defines if you will grow your outcome or reduce it. Not only that, energy isn't just contained in just the physical realm where it's our body. In my book, I talk about the three-sided brain. Tria means three-sided, the left side logical, right side creative, and the center side, which is your faith side, the ability to create and invent before it even exists. And when we combine all this area, we create an energy. The energy is not only here, it goes through our body, and it creates a field of thoughts around us where we can literally step into a situation and change it because of our thoughts. Now, in 1916, someone did something that was amazing, and they thought he was crazy, but he was actually thinking in the future. Albert Einstein. In 1916, he created the relativity, the equation for relativity, E equals mc squared, but he had a foundation that hadn't been proved yet. He said gravitational waves exist, meaning gravity didn't just pull someone to the earth, but it also traveled in a wave. And people were like, oh, yeah, that's just not true. Yeah. He's like, watch. 100 years later, guess what happens? The LIGO organization found two black holes that collided in space, and guess what they found? They found that this is so amazing. The two black holes, when they collided, created what Einstein theorized about 100 years before, that gravity actually travels in waves, and it pierces through all time and matter. Well, remember, energy is energy. Your thoughts have energy. So when you are thinking about how to change the way that you're going to view a situation, whatever past challenges, when you take that into consideration and you move forward, you create what I call tree brain waves. It's gravitational waves from your brain that help you solve your problem. Just a really easy example. Have you ever been thinking about somebody and then they call you up? Have you ever experienced that? Well, that's actually your tree brain working. It is your gravitational waves from your brain working, which is you are sending out a message from your thoughts for communication. Now, how do you direct this? You have to know, and we're here for Women's Day, which is an amazing thing. I want you to walk away knowing this. Your femininity is a powerful energy behind your innovation. Now, unfortunately, there's not as many females in technical roles here in the United States, in most places across the world, actually. So you are an anomaly in some fashion or sense. And I'm so thankful to be here with the WIN organization and with the SAS Institute, because this type of thinking of understanding the power women bring to the table, it will be critical in understanding how you can attract the help and support that you need by changing the way that you're thinking about certain situations. Your femininity allows you to reinvent yourself and allows you to invent products that will be powerful. And I share this in my own story. When I finally became a rocket scientist, it was a process. I'll tell you this quick story. I graduated top of the class at Cal State Northridge, where I eventually went to the university, which I'm very thankful for. I finished classes and I started at the Boeing company after graduation, but I didn't know that I wanted to become a rocket scientist. I ended up working there simply, okay, you may laugh. When I first started working there, I went there because I knew I wanted to use math, but they had medical insurance. I had just graduated college. I didn't have medical insurance. I'm like, oh my God, a job is going to have medical insurance. And I went to this job, and I first started as an accountant, actually. And the accounting department needed a mathematician. And eventually, 2 years later, I went on to become a full-fledged propulsion scientist, i.e. rocket scientist. But I had to work my way up there, and it wasn't an easy thing. And I remember the second day that I was there, two major things happened on the second day. I remember walking down the hallway. Now, I didn't dress as flashy as this, mind you. I had just a regular skirt on, regular conservative top. You know, I walked past, and this man walked past me. And he walked past me, and here I was, and he went like this. Now, me here, I'm thinking to myself, well, do I have something on me? Do I have something on my shoe? Why is he looking at me like that? And then he walked off. The strangest thing. He later on, by the way, became one of my biggest supporters. I got to throw that in there. Then a couple of seconds later, these women come from the background, and they said, hello, you don't know us. Can we take you somewhere to the restroom? So here I am, not knowing, just one man just passed me by looking strange. Here are these other people asking me to bring me to the restroom. I was thinking to myself, what kind of place is this? So these women take me over to the restroom, and they say, you don't know us, but we're really happy to see you. And I look at them and I think to myself, who are these women? They said, we are the administrative assistants here supporting the vice presidents, and we are so happy to see a woman on this floor. There hasn't been a woman here for 15 years. Now, this was back in 1998, so this was 21 years ago. I started when I was 21. And I thought they were joking. And they said, we're serious. And they said, if you ever get upset, come talk to us and we'll come over to the restroom so you're not going to be upset in front of them. Whatever you do, don't ever let one of the male employees see you cry. Don't ever let them see you upset or emotional because they'll think it's a weakness. Take us with you. Come over here and vent it out to us. We want to see you succeed. So I listened to that. And I thought it was all an imagination. Until 2 weeks later, I'm going to use this desk right here. I'm in this meeting. It's my time to go up on stage and present information. I present information and show it. And then the person ahead of the meeting said, "What type of work is that? Bring us something real." So I felt this small. Can you imagine that? This small. And I felt defeated. I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, I've come all this way to get over here to be a rocket scientist, and I'm new, they don't like what it is that I bring. There's tons of people that want my job. What am I going to do? So what I do, I go to the restroom. I talk to the people, oh my God. They said, that's all right. We've gone through this before. Fix it, go back out there, don't show any type of emotion. Get it done, because you have the ability to talk to people that you can translate the information that other people can't. So I said, okay. Now the women in the restroom became my biggest supporters. They were the ones who helped me become grounded to provide what it is that I offered in that environment. And in turn, I helped their children, and their children grew up to be doctors and lawyers. I helped them in their maths and education. And it's because of that experience, I was able to go back into that boardroom and share the information and say, this is actually what is the truth after doing this research. And if you need additional support, here's documents to show that from the last 2 years of research. And there's experts I brought here with me in the meeting to answer further questions if you like them. What I learned is I had to change the way that I was seeing myself and the role that I brought to that organization. I wasn't going to be one of the women who cut their hair really short, completely masked the fact that they had curves. I was going to be myself. I was going to be a woman. If you haven't noticed, I'm a woman of color on top of it. So I was going to be a woman of color in an environment and choose to be myself and bring to the table what I could do. And what I could do is figure out how to solve a problem. If I could get through poverty, if I could get myself into an educational environment, if I could graduate from the university, I could still bring that to the table and solve problems at an organization. What type of challenges have you endured? And how are you going to take those same skills that you used to get out of that tough situation and bring it into an opportunity where you have the ability to solve problems and create something new and fresh for yourself in your career? That's my question for you, because you have the ability to do it. It's all here. And even if it's not, you can actually replace old thinking with the truth so you can move forward. See, it's so amazing how this works. And let me explain it to you this way. If you have a balloon and it's fresh, it's just right out of the package, it hasn't been expanded with air. If you have a balloon and it's not been expanded, but then you put water in it to where it almost busts open, but then you stop filling it up with water, and then you dump the water out, that balloon has expanded in its shape. It's plastic. You've just removed all of this water and now it can hold something. The question is, what else is it going to hold? Your brain is the same way. You see, whatever tough situations you've gone through, whether you've been a woman, whether you've been a person of color, whether you've been a person of age in a certain situation, whatever it is that you've been through, that has held a space in your brain that requires you to remove it and replace that same space with something else. Just like that balloon has now permanently changed its shape and you can put whatever it is that you want inside, your decision to place a new thought into that space in your brain empowers you. So, do you remember that fear that you had in your brain? Remember that moment where you thought about what you could see yourself doing in 5 years and then you thought about the fear that would keep you from going there? Remember that? I want you to do something big, and we're going to just do this for the next 30 seconds. I want you to turn to one person next to you, and I want you to honestly share your fear. So I would like you right now, turn to someone next to you and tell them about your fear. All right, now that you've done that, I want you to help each other find the truth. Instead of having that fear, what is the truth in the situation? Can you find the truth of that situation and choose to decide to accept the truth about the situation instead of the lie? What a fear is a lie. Like, for example, when I was in this environment as a woman in a technical situation, I thought that the lie was this. Whatever I would present wasn't going to be enough, and that it wasn't going to be liked. And I thought because I was a woman, I didn't have as much experience with like everybody else in this group. That was the lie. And the truth was, I had to be reminded of who I was. I'm a person who is able to connect the dots. I can talk with anybody. I can find answers. I own this. I own it no matter where I go. Doesn't matter if I go here at this company. Doesn't matter if I am on stage. It doesn't matter if I am writing books. I own it. What do you own? Let that sink in for a second. Now I'd like you to turn to your neighbor and tell them what you own. What is your gift? Okay. Now that you have been a chance to do two things, verbalize a fear, it doesn't have power as much in you. And by you identifying what your gift is, you now can replace that from the fear. Focusing on the talent that you bring and honing in on that takes up that space in that balloon in your brain. So you focus on building that. And that positive thought literally connects neurons in you so you can unleash your brain power. That's just one way, one simple tip. Now, when you do that, when you start focusing on what can I do, I can actually do something that is amazing that people will enjoy. When you start thinking that way, something amazing happens. Mentors pop out of nowhere. Pop out of nowhere. When you decide that you're not going to let fear overcome you, but you are actually going to hold on with what you have and develop that and grow that, you send out a wave. It's like an SOS wave where you're like, help me, help me. And guess what? You'll be approached by 3 separate people, and I write about this in my book. You'll be approached by people who do not want to help you, by people who want to keep you stuck. You'll be approached by people who are in the same situation as you and don't know a way out. And you'll be approached by someone who has already found the answer to what you are seeking. Now, your mentors can have various looks. It can be another woman. It can be a man. It can be a person of authority. It could be a person who is a janitor. You don't know. Everyone brings you something that is important for you to embrace. For me, the man that helped me become a rocket scientist, his name is Zhao. He was a man from China. He had a very thick accent, and he worked down the way, all the way down the hall. And I didn't know how to do a problem in my advanced mathematics coursework at the university, and I was going to school at nighttime to get my master's in addition to working. And I remember I didn't know how to do one of the problems, and I checked around the company, and they said, this one man, Zhao, can answer your question. And I'm like, Zhao? And he's like, yeah, you can talk to him if you can understand him. So I went all the way down to him. I could understand him just fine. He was the best mentor that I could possibly have. This mild-mannered man with glasses from China named Zhao. And I would finish my work, and I did something no corporate person sanely does in some situations, in some environments, but I wanted to understand how math and science worked. So I would finish my work, and I would go to his office, and he had these pounds and pounds of paperwork on his desk that he'd never finished because he was the only person in the company that knew how to do what he was doing. So I offered to help him. No pay. I just knew in my heart it was something for me to do. Sometimes you have to listen to what your intuition is telling you, even though you do not see a reward straight off from it, because it is you in the future telling yourself what you need to do next. So I went down the hall and I got mentored by him. He showed me about how to do rocket science. Remember, I started as an accounting person with mathematics, and he showed me how the engine worked, the mathematical equations to predict explosions. And then one day, I get this letter from my management that says, you are no longer reporting to your particular department. Your new title is propulsion scientist. You are to report to your next department on Monday, and this is your pay increase. You will be working directly with Zhao. Zhao and I formed a team, and we formed a network. And the 2 of us grew to 4, and the 4 of us grew to 20. And our team was responsible for bringing in over $55 million in new engine contracts. And not only that, all the different things that I learned about how to communicate and understand how to predict the future, I actually created a tool for people to actually do the same thing. So people could look at the chain of events from the past that could predict the future that someone wanted. And we were able to be a company, an organization, and a team of people who brought in awards from NASA because of our work. And I was very thankful because in, what year was that? 2003, I believe, I became Engineer of the Year. And all because mentors came out and I made a decision to overcome my fear. There's one last thing I'm going to share with you. It's that in your journey, because your journey is unique, what you have experienced is unique, and what you see is unique. Your job is to connect the dots. That is the gift that you as a woman or a man can bring to the table. Out of all the things in which you have seen in your life and in the company, your job is to create a new way of looking at things and doing things because of what you have seen. This is how you build your future. Whatever you have gone through in the past, it's there as a gift. It's there to help you move forward. But you have to look at it to find out what is the gift and the talent that I learned in that particular situation. For you, you have to look at it and ask, what is that gift? What is that talent that helped me be able to move forward? How can I apply that to here? When you're working with people and you know that they're not listening to you, your job is to listen to them. To know that whatever it is that they have gone through, you can connect the dots. And you not only can answer your issue, but you can answer theirs. Because simply you're listening to how all the information is going to fit together. And there is someone in here, I have no idea who you are, but I feel you're here. You want to become a CEO, I feel it. I don't know who this person is. But you think you don't have the money to do it. You think you have to have millions of dollars to start off what it is. No, you don't. Create that computer program that you've been waiting to do. I don't know who that is. And if you have children, there's several of you in here that are thinking this. You think that you cannot do a good job because you are stretched too thin. You have 2 and 3 children, that you're trying to be the best mom you can be, and you're trying to do a great job at work, and you feel like you're overrunning yourself. The message is, start taking time for yourself. That's how you're going to connect the dots. Start taking time for yourself. Then time is going to multiply. You must know that no matter what you have been in, no matter what you have seen, no matter what you have experienced, no matter what you think your limitations are, you still have the ability to move forward to that thought 5 years from now. You see, you owe it to yourself. You see, there's a version of you who is trying to come back to you right now and tap you on the shoulder and whisper in your ear to tell you, you can do it. All you need is to just do this one step. These are the steps you need to take every single day to remove fear and keep going. Don't be upset because you're not moving fast enough. You're moving at your own pace. I'm here to help you. It's you coming back to help you. Listen to yourself. That, my friends, is the gift that you bring to not only your life, not only this company, but to this world. You never know. Follow these steps, and you can do anything you like, even become a rocket scientist. I am Olympia LePoint, and it has been my pleasure to speak with you today.
Question?
Yes. We're going to take it. We're going to answer questions. There's more tips available. You can go to answersunleashed.com where you see do a podcast and a radio show that talk about all the different ways that you can reprogram your brain to see different information and understand it. And also, I have an upcoming book, a leadership book, which is Answers Unleashed 2: The Science of Attracting What You Want. So I'm excited that's going to be coming out, and you can check that out as it comes out on answersunleashed.com. And you can find me on all the social media. So we're going to take questions now. Yeah.
Is there anyone that has a question? I know people are going to be sneaking out soon because we're right at the end of lunchtime. Before you guys go, would you mind if we get a photograph? And I know I can take a selfie up here, or we can also have one of our photographers in the back. So Ryan's up front.
Oh, great.
Let me first get a selfie because
we're gonna do a selfie. Can you all like kind of cheer in the background?
Stay.
Here you go. I would like to see you guys like
And then,
in the back.
you want everybody to stand up? Okay, everybody can stand up.
Yeah, that's so much fun.
Okay, I took several.
Yay.
All right, so now, if you don't mind just turning around where you are, and Ryan's going to take a picture from the back. Oh, and then one fun one if you guys don't mind. Just whatever. I don't see a flash. All right, thank you all so much. Thank you, Olympia. Thank you so much. Happy International Women's Day.